Last month, I found myself on a university volleyball court, surrounded by athletes that were on a much higher level than I was. They had been playing for years, and frankly, I had no business being there. But here's the thing, I walked onto the court like I belonged and played with them. And no, I didn't do the best. I definitely made a lot of mistakes and I definitely could have done a lot of things better. But the fact of the matter is, I pushed through that and I came out on the other side a much better player. In today's world, this is a concept known as LARPing. It originally meant live action role playing, but nowadays it's used as a synonym for calling someone a poser. And while I understand that has a very negative connotation, I think if you're able to use LARPing effectively, it can make it a lot easier to get better at things. But here's the thing. I could have joined a beginner volleyball club, played with people who were just at the same skill level as me, who made the same mistakes that I did, and I probably would have still improved. But not nearly as much as I improved in playing that one game with these university level players. Now keep in mind, this was not a high stakes game. This was just their regular practice, and I had talked to their coach before I did this, so it's not like I just showed up. But the important fact here is that the fact that as a worse player, I was able to stand there, deal with balls that come way faster than I'm used to, block people that hit way harder, way higher than I'm used to, deal with sets that I've never seen before. That is what's going to cause the biggest improvement for me. And I know some people think of this as conning or lying myself into that position, but I think of it more so as me selling a version of myself that doesn't quite exist yet, but is on the way. I didn't necessarily lie to the coach up front. I sort of lied by omission by never mentioning what my skill level was. And once I met them in person, I went up to them and I talked to them about how I'm not that good, I'm learning and I'm looking to get better and I'm willing to work hard. But I would never have been in that position in the first place if I had just been super honest with them. And I think it was the same when I started training MMA. After about a year of training, I found myself being pretty competent with all the techniques. Once again, in a vacuum, my techniques were nearly perfect. I could throw pretty much every kick you could ask me to, every punch you could ask me to, and on the bag, I looked amazing. And then sparring would come around, and I found myself not being able to execute any of that. And the worst part is when I would spar beginners in my gym, I found myself making these same mistakes over and over again because there was no reason for me to not make those mistakes. I would throw a jab and my hand wouldn't return back to my guard, and I would be cognizant of that mistake, but I wouldn't get punished for it at all. And so I kept repeating the mistakes even after looking at videos of myself sparring. And so one day I decided that I'm gonna go up to one of the more experienced pro fighters and just ask them for a light spar. And this wasn't a challenge. This was simply me asking them if they could help me out a little bit. And so I went into that sparring session knowing that I was pretty much gonna get my ass beat. And once again, I didn't exactly tell him what my skill level was. Of course, he'd been in the gym for a while, he knew roughly where I was at, but he didn't know exactly what my skill level was. But I didn't undersell myself or oversell myself. I just told him, hey, let's spar. And I'll be honest, he showed me a lot of the mistakes that I make. And his way of showing it to me was punching me in the face. But sometimes that's what you need. And this technique, so to speak, isn't about lying. LARPing is claiming a persona that you just haven't achieved yet, but you're earning it as you fake it. When you're standing in a room full of experts on something, and you're clearly not one, your mind starts filling in that gap, subconsciously working harder to try and make that fact true so that you're not left out. That is what I believe high stakes learning is. That is when things are uncomfortable, when you don't feel great, but you still get through it, and that's when you notice the biggest change. So stop waiting for yourself to be good enough to enter the room. Just walk in and figure it out later. I'm still not the best volleyball player on the court, and I'm definitely not the best fighter in my gym. But I'm a lot closer to those goals than I would have been if I didn't pretend to be better than I was. So go on, go be a poser for a while until you become the real thing.